Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, Festivus, whatever it is you celebrate in this fine month of December, we here at the C&J Speedway Review wish you the happiest and healthiest of holidays. We both celebrate Christmas, as does producer Eddie Focus. So Merry Christmas to you all. Don't want to leave anybody out, but now it's time to have some off-season, good old-fashioned racing talk, have some fun, maybe throw a couple of awards out, and I will tell you about a chance meeting I had this week with a very wonderful lady that could bring us our very first special guest onto the show. On one side of the screen, Corey Huffnagel. On the other side of the screen, yours truly, the jabroni Chris Burns. This is the C&J Speedway Review. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the C&J Speedway Review number 60, which is almost twice the amount of races you get in a season, which is why we're here. We give you everything you want. When the cars aren't running, we are. My name is Chris Burns from the Loki and Jabroni Show. You can hear us every Tuesday night live on our YouTube channel as my chair just dropped to the floor. I got to get a new one of these. You can also catch our Christmas special right now on YouTube. If you like some twisted humor, you'll like our Christmas special. But the man of the hour, the Tower of Tower, too sweet to be sour. He's Chelsea's ride or die. He is Mr. Co-host to you. I introduce to you the one, the only, Mr. Shave Yo Face, Corey Huffnagel. Corey, how are we doing tonight?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. Another holiday spent, and now I'm just getting ready for 2019, and I'm just so excited for February. I just can't wait, and February just can't even be here short enough. But more importantly, my Alabama football team can't come here short enough either. I'm looking forward to Saturday, and it's going to be very exciting. And I tell you, this is probably going to be maybe the best send-off of 2018 there is, and, be an exciting 2019. So I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. A lot of great things happen this year. A lot of sad things happen this year. Corey's dying as we speak, so Hopefully he makes it to 2019. But as usual, with no racing going on whatsoever here in the United States other than some of the winter specials, and we will talk about them as we go along. But I want to tell you about a chance meeting I had with a young man who passed along our information to a nice lady who is giving the information to her son, who just happens to be, I'm not going to say his name, happens to be one of the rookie crop for 2019 on the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. We're hoping that he uses that information to the best of his abilities, calls us, and we can get him here sometime before Daytona hits, sometime before Speed Weeks, and talk about his upcoming new career, if you will. He's driven locally, he's driven on the Truck Series, he's driven on the Xfinity Series. Next year, he's got himself a Cup ride. Not letting too much more go. But when I texted Corey with this information about a week ago, I think his excitement came through the text message. It was like, okay, it's on now. We are ready for this. Without saying any names, Corey, how excited would you be if we got this young gentleman on the line with us?
I'd be very excited, and I'd be looking forward to doing that too.
Excellent. So, as we do in the off season, Corey's going to give us the silly season news, any news items that are on the docket, and I have some surprises for the last segment of the show. So, Corey, without further ado, what has been on the docket in NASCAR news in the 2 weeks since we've been with you folks?
Well, it's been announced since on last Thursday, Corey LaJoie has a new ride for 2019, so he is going to be running the 32 car for Go Fast Racing in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series next year, and I think from the looks of it, with the new aero package that's coming next year, I look at Go Fast Racing, and you just look at this team the last few years. I mean, they've been in the top 15 in some events, but most importantly, I think this is going to be a kid that's going to be fun to watch next year. No question about it.
Oh, absolutely. He's worked his way up, and he's been on the Cup Series for the last couple of years that I remember seeing his name. Just never in some really great equipment, but like you said, Go Fast Racing is an up and coming team, and it could be a great fit for a young man like that. I just know that he comes from a long line of racers. Obviously, his dad was fantastic, but let's see what he can do on his own with a ride, albeit somewhat on the lower half of the scale. But you got to start somewhere. Not everybody can start like Logano. Not everybody can start, like Austin Dillon. Let's give this kid a chance. Let's see what he does with a new ride for 2019.
Absolutely.
So what else you got, my friend?
Well, I did find this little piece of news a few weeks ago. So sponsorship right now was getting a little bit bad, to apparently the point where the FBI was involved. So about a week ago, right before Christmas, the FBI raided the headquarters of DC Solar in Benicia, California, of CEO Jeff Karpoff in Martinez, California. So apparently with a little bit of a sponsorship issue, as I'm reading my notes right here, but cell phones were taken in the residence. The FBI will not comment for the reason for the dual raids on December 18th, but Karpoff's attorney said the raid seemed to be a result as a tax dispute. So if you look at it, this could be pretty much the point where, okay, so DC Solar is not going to be coming back to Chip Ganassi sometime next year, despite with this whole shenanigans and whatnot. But I heard a little bit of a silly hot rumor. So there was a little rumor that came out that Kyle Larson. Now I'm not saying potentially, but there's a rumor that Kyle Larson might be leaving Chip Ganassi Racing to go to Stewart-Haas Racing if this whole sponsorship thing, decides to leave, whatever it is, and what's actually kind of cool about it. So let's say if Kyle Larson goes to Stewart-Haas Racing, that could open up the door to possibly Daniel Suarez going to Chip Ganassi and bringing his Air sponsor with him. So I'm kind of thinking about it, and I said, that's actually not really a bad idea, because there was one report or one article that said Tony Stewart actually wanted Kyle Larson, and I wouldn't be surprised if Larson takes that 41 car, no question about it. But it's actually funny because we don't even know who's going to be driving the 41 car next year. I mean, everyone said it's going to be Suarez, and now possibly it might be Kyle Larson next year. We never know.
There were a lot of names thrown out there, and I know for myself, I was hoping it would be someone like Matt DiBenedetto or someone like that. To put Kyle Larson in that 41 car would just, as if Stewart-Haas wasn't the team to beat in 2018, that puts them right there at the catbird seat as everybody's looking at Stewart-Haas and figuring out what do we have to do to beat these guys. So you have the new Mustang coming in. And by the way, we'll talk about how gorgeous Kevin Harvick's car looks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my Lord, what a gorgeous looking car. But it's going to be an interesting season at Stewart-Haas. Today is December 27th as we record this. And like Corey said, we haven't heard word one about who's going to get into the 41. Usually by now, the teams are set. Everybody's gearing toward, the garages for January, getting the cars ready for speed weeks in February, and obviously the Super Bowl of racing, the Daytona 500. But we haven't heard anything. If Stewart-Haas is keeping something under wraps, they're doing a fantastic job of it.
Yeah.
Because, I'm on the Stewart-Haas website 2-3 times a week. I'm trying to look up information. Not word one. Not soundbite one. Not clip one. Not anything about the fate of the 41 car. This is getting, I don't want to say scary, but it's getting intriguing. It's like watching a suspense movie. Who done it? Was it the butler? Was it the maid? Was it the wife? Who did it? Who's going to be in that 41 car? If it turns out that it's Kyle Larson, I would venture to say that easily he'll win 4 races in a Stewart-Haas car. He'll be in the upper 8 of the championship 16, and he might actually have a really good shot at being in the championship 4 come November.
I could probably see him win maybe 4 races, and then, quite frankly, I think he'd be in the best position to go to the championship four, no question about it.
I mean, because again, you look at Stewart Haas Racing, you have Almirola in the 10, a younger guy.
Yep.
You have Clint Boyer in the 14, somewhere middle of the road age wise when it comes to racing. Then you have, I hate to say it like this, but elder statesman Kevin Harvick about to turn, if I'm doing my math right, 43. Oh, he just turned 43.
Yeah.
By the way, Kevin Harvick's your birthday. Long fact. So he just turned 43. He's probably got 4 or 5 good years left on him behind that wheel. Maybe more. We don't know. I mean, look at his season this past year. 8 wins at the age of 42. Nobody does that anymore. So Kyle Larson would slide right into this really interesting position where he really is the young gun. Almirola is a little bit older than Larson. He's got more wins under his belt. He's got tremendous upside. This would be the most fantastic fit for him. But the DC Solar thing doesn't just affect Kyle Larson. You have to remember, Brennan Poole was also running that DC Solar sponsorship much of last year and the year before. Shout out to Brennan Poole's friends, Gary and Candy down there in Tampa, Florida, friends of mine as well. See, this is where it gets interesting. Friends of mine, friends of his, put us together, man. Come on. It's that simple. But Brennan Poole is going to be affected by this probably more so than Kyle Larson. If Kyle Larson leaves, you can fill that spot. If DC Solar leaves, Brennan Poole is left with an underfunded, non-sponsored ride for the Xfinity Series. That's a bad thing for him. So whatever, and again, this is all speculation. We don't know what this is all about. We just know the FBI raided the offices. Once this is all shaken out and we see where everything lies, we'll have a better idea of what happens with Kyle Larson and Brennan Poole going forward.
Absolutely.
All right, so what else do you got for me, my friend? I know you scour the news sites every day to find the best and brightest in NASCAR news.
So, Junior Motorsports announced, I'd probably say about last Tuesday, that 2018 NASCAR class, Zane Smith is going to be driving 9 races for the 9 car in 2019. So, remember, Zane Smith, he was the guy that raced in the ARCA series this past year, and from what it looks like in my calculations, I think the 9 car is going to be running a full-time deal, I think, for the Owners' Championship, but it's going to be for like part-time driver basis. So Zane Smith is going to be one of them. The other ones will probably be determined, I think, sometime like within the beginning of next year, so forth. So who knows? I mean, you'll probably have the Cup guys at Chase Elliott, run a few races of the 9. You'll probably have Dale Jr. maybe run like 1 race or so forth. And then you might have some young guys that'll probably run that 9 car to get that owner's title. But this one here, Zane Smith, I'm going to be taking my eye on him next year and see how he does. And not only the fact that, we're going to probably see kids, come up from the ARCA series to race in the Truck Series or Xfinity, but a lot of these young guys that I'm looking at right now, they have a lot of talent, and it's going to be interesting to see all these young guys next year.
Sure, and when you take a young upstart like Zane Smith and you give him this commitment, whether it's 9 races, 10, 12, 15, what have you, you're kind of giving him a vote of confidence. We're gonna give you your canvas. It's up to you to paint the picture. It's up to you to show us, do we make a long-term commitment in you, or is this just a way for you to get track time and you can go find greener pasture elsewhere? It's a fantastic move. Junior Motorsports has this really interesting knack of finding guys that no one else would ever look at and turning them into stars. The fact that Dale Earnhardt Jr. runs that team almost as, you're a Red Sox fan, Corey.
Mm-hmm.
He runs that team like it's the Pawtucket Red Sox, which is the AAA affiliate, for those of you that don't know, for the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah.
He's trying to feed the next generation. Junior is out there trying to find the best and brightest that no one else is looking at and turning them into stars. So when they do go on, he can say, you know what? I did that. That was me. I gave them the canvas to paint on. Good on Junior, and good on Junior Motorsports as a whole for giving Zane Smith the canvas to paint on.
So you look at Zane's statistics this past season in ARCA. 4 wins, 12 top fives, 13 top tens. Finished second in the points this season, and an average finish of 7.7.
And when you look at the ARCA series, think of how many legends have come from the ARCA series. I can name 3 right now: Dick Trickle, Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin. Big time names, Hall of Fame. 2 of them. I think Dick Trickle should seriously be in the Hall of Fame. Come on.
He should.
Let's get him in there. That's going to be our hashtag for 2019. Hashtag Dick Trickle Hall of Fame.
Oh, that'd be good. But you also look at guys that are in NASCAR right now. They're about to go to NASCAR. Guys that have been in the ARCA series for a long time. I can name some on here on my iPad. You look at it: Sheldon Creed, Zane Smith, Riley Herbst, Austin Terrio, Dalton Sargent, Austin Wade Self, Kyle Weatherman, Grant Infinger, Chase Briscoe, Chris Buescher, Ty Dillon, Justin Allgaier, Justin Lofton, Bob Keselowski, Brad's dad, and then Jason Jarrett, and then of course Michael McDowell.
All of them, guys. These are big time names, and they all came from the ARCA series. Much like Junior Motorsports is doing for NASCAR, ARCA has always been, since I started watching racing back in 1861, a very good feeder system where you can get your feet wet, get track time, run on some of the tracks that the NASCAR guys run on, which gives you a huge advantage going forward. I can't say enough good things about Junior Motorsports. If I wasn't such a loyalist, I might be a huge Junior Motorsports fan.
I definitely would too. And I just look at Junior Motorsports. I mean, they've had a lot of talented drivers throughout the years that have won Xfinity races and championships. I mean, I just look at William Byron. When he came in his first full season, he won, I think, 3 or 4 races, won the championship that year. I mean, that was very impressive. And then, of course, Chase Elliott, when he won the championship in his first full season and then won 3 races, I thought that was impressive too. And I just look at this race team, Justin Allgaier, ran great. Michael Annett, kind of decent and so forth. And then, of course, Elliott Sadler, which everybody thought he was going to win the championship in his final year, came up short. And now next year, you got Noah Gragson that's coming on board for that one team. So it should be very interesting to watch. But I can just tell you this. Don't be surprised if you see 2 of the Junior Motorsports drivers make it to the championship for the season. And quite possibly, the way I see it, I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Allgaier wins the championship next year.
That's a great point. What a great run Justin had this year. Junior Motorsports as a whole had a fantastic run in 2018. They're doing everything right. This is a model that every other team, whether you're on the Truck Series, Xfinity, or Monster Energy Cup Series, needs to look at. What is Junior doing that we're not? Why, when you look at, and I hate to say it like this because they've always been a powerhouse, Hendrick Motorsports. What is Hendrick doing wrong? If I'm sitting in the office, I'm sitting there with Rick, and what are we doing wrong? Yes, Chase Elliott won a handful of races this year, but Johnson went winless. Byron went winless. We didn't come home with the goods. Bowman went winless. What are we doing wrong? Look to the side. Look around you. One of the guys that you brought over from DEI to run that 88 car was Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's doing it right. Why not pick up a phone? Hey, Junior? Yeah, it's me, Big Rick. Can we have lunch? Let's talk. Pick his brain. Get in his head, figure out what he's doing that no one else is, and learn from it. Which is weird because Rick's been in the business for 40 years, 50 years. Junior has been. What is going on over there, Corey Huff-Nichols?
Well, let's see. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and let's just say that somebody bypassed it.
Donald Trump is hacking your phone and making this show not great again. Okay, I get it.
Okay.
No big deal.
Okay.
Right. Let's not get political.
Yeah, that's probably the least thing you'd want to do.
Watch this. He is my president. Didn't vote for him, but I'm an American. He is my president. Leave it at that.
Okay.
Anyway, pick Junior's brain. A man of just above the 40 line is figuring out what other teams have been struggling for years. When was the last time you saw? Let me think about this. When was the last time you saw a Ganassi car really as a championship contender? With the exception of Larson in 2017, when was the last time you saw Ganassi as a factor in the playoffs or in the chase, as it were?
You
And
know,
I mean a serious factor.
I would probably say rather than Kyle Larson, I would have to go back to I'd have to go back to, let's say, 2009 when Juan Pablo Montoya was in the 42 car one time, and so that year that was the team that could have won, I'd say, like 3 races, maybe 4 races. The one race that I remember that costed them the win, you have to go to Indianapolis back in July. Everything was good for him, led most of the race. Yeah, pit stops was pretty good too. Until guess what happened? He got caught speeding on pit road. That was the end for him. But aside from that, that was the year where that was basically a team that that was really good. I mean, sure, they could have won 3 races that year, but yet again, I could probably see them maybe as the only team that was a championship contender.
Right, and you can even go back to 2001, 2002, where Sterling Marlin was having a career year
Yeah.
and got hurt. And then Jamie McMurray filled in, won his 3rd or 4th race in the car. He wasn't championship contender, but everything after that, it took them a couple years to figure out how to get back to championship contention. Why doesn't Chip Ganassi pick up a phone? Hello, Junior? Yeah, it's me, Chip. Felix Sabates is in the other room. Let's have lunch. Pick his brain. Junior's doing something right.
Yeah.
Shave your face. Anyway, any more news on the docket?
So, this one I'm really excited about. So there's a possibility that NASCAR might be going back to the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway possibly in 2020. So, Forms of Productions Incorporated and Bristol Motor Speedway have reached an agreement bringing the major NASCAR racing events back to Nashville, known as the Fairgrounds Speedway. So, let's keep this in mind, folks. So, NASCAR last went to the Fairgrounds back in 2000 when they had the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series. The Cup Series used to race there from 1958 to 1984. And I'm looking on the list of winners in Cup. You have Joe Weatherly, you have Richard Petty, Cale Yarborough, Darrell Waltrip. Xfinity, you've had guys like Jack Ingram, Darrell Waltrip, Rick Mass, David Green, Bobby Labonte, Steve Park, Mike McLaughlin, Jeff Green, and Randy LaJoy. The Truck Series, you had guys like Dave Rezendes, Jack Sprague, Jeff Hensley, Dennis Setzer, and Randy Tolsma, the last guy that won at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. So when I first heard this, I thought to myself, I think this is a great idea for NASCAR to go back to Nashville because let's be honest, they last went to Nashville, I'd say back in like 2011 when they had the Super Speedway, which is based out in Lebanon, Tennessee, and I'd have to admit, the racing there was pretty decent. I mean, it was exciting most of the time, but then I kind of thought to myself, like, I really think NASCAR should go back to tracks where they haven't been to in a really long time. And not to mention the fairgrounds is like literally like on the south side of downtown Nashville. So what do you get? You'll probably get some of the old fans back. And then not to mention, you'll get pretty much the Nashville market like up the swing. But here's the thing. You have to get a lot of butts in the seats in order for this racetrack to, run for the next couple of years and quite honestly in the future. Because that's what happened with Rockingham Speedway, because when they ran for about 2 years, everybody thought, well, this is going to come back great. It's going to be awesome. And then the reason why they left was because they couldn't keep the funding at the racetrack because not a lot of people were buying tickets. And that's the only thing that you see on racing the last few years. And I've seen this all the time, in the Cup Series, trucks, and Xfinity. There's not a lot of people in the seats. And this is the one thing I've been questioning on the last, I don't know, maybe 10 years or so. Like, why are we not getting a lot of people in the seats? And I really think this is going to be something that NASCAR should really advertise this. I really think this is what the city of Nashville has to really advertise, I think, within like the next year, all the way up to 2020. And then everybody in Nashville, race fans, people related, they should start advertising this right away. And I really think, Nashville will be a great fit. And then there's also a possibility that, you might have the award ceremony in Nashville, I think, within the future. So honestly, like, I'm on board with this. I really want to see them go back to the Music City. I think it'd be awesome. And if they do announce that when they go to the Speedway in 2020, I'll probably be the first one down there.
Good. And, like you said, sometimes it takes going back to a track that they haven't run on in a long time, much like Nashville and much like Rockingham. North Carolina, was the second race of the season for many, many years, up through and including, I think, 2002. It was, you knew when you went to the Rock that this was going to be short track racing with super speedway speeds.
Yeah.
Pitch strategy worked. When you come out of one and you dive into two, there was that little divot. And if you were on the inside, you took that little divot. We used to call it the Rockingham whip. Whether you watched it on television or you were playing on a video game, when you hit that divot, you got a little burst of speed. It's like catching that one little bump on your country road somewhere where you might be driving 45 miles an hour. You hit that divot, boom, all of a sudden you're doing 50, 51. You get that little boost. Nashville Fairgrounds back in, I want to say it was 84.
Yeah.
Might have hosted the most exciting, at the time, Busch Series race I ever watched in the history of my life. So get them back. Get the old school back. I think a lot of fans are turned off because a lot of these cookie cutter tracks are getting love where Rockingham isn't. Where I'm trying to remember the other one, Wilkesboro.
Yeah.
I know they use it as a test track now and again, but when you see pictures of North Wilkesboro, you see grass growing up as tall as a human being in the infield. You pull your truck in, you take your car off, you test at North Wilkesboro, but that was also exciting racing. I'll never forget back in '94 when my buddy Chad Hatfield and I sat down and we watched a race from North Wilkesboro, and Jeff Gordon edged out Rusty Wallace for the win, and he's a Gordon fan and I'm a Wallace fan, and we just looked at each other and goes, that's what racing is supposed to be.
Yeah.
So, but when you look at a track like New Hampshire brings that to mind, racing the way it's supposed to be. Richmond, Bristol, Martinsville. Yeah, I know I had what I had to say about Logano and Truex at Martinsville. It's all good, but that's the kind of racing people want to see. Nobody wants to see, and I'll give you an example in just a minute. Nobody wants to see somebody get out and be 27 seconds ahead of the field. 1996, I went to the Southern 500 in Darlington. I was moving. As soon as I got back from Darlington, I was packing up my apartment and moving to Indiana with the aforementioned Chad Hatfield to a house in Lafayette, Indiana. And 3 cars finished on the lead lap. The winner, Jeff Gordon. Second place, Ken Schrader. And third place, Jimmy Spencer. Everybody else from 4th on to about 16th was a lap down. Nobody wants to see a race like that. That's boring.
Yeah.
Now, fast forward a couple years, went to the same race, Southern 500, and, Earnhardt wrecks early. Yay! All the Rusty fans are going nuts, and the guy sitting in front of me, a Dale Earnhardt fan, he turns around and says, oh, you got us now. Gave me a beer. Everything's good. About 40, 45 laps later, Rusty eats the wall. All the Earnhardt fans, yay! I gave him a beer. It's just, that's the kind of fun you have at these old school, old style racetracks. How fun was Darlington this past year?
Darlington was a lot of fun, I'd have to tell you.
Exactly. So why not bring that kind of thing back? Again, I'm going to reference your Boston Red Sox 2018 World Champions, tipping my hat. As a Yankee fan, that's tough to do, but I do it. If they tore Fenway Park down and built one of these cookie cutter stadiums, wouldn't be the same.
No, it would not.
I've been to Fenway Park dozen and a half times. I don't particularly like the team that plays there, but I love the history. I love the area. I love everything about that stadium. When they built the new Yankee Stadium, I went. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't the same. It didn't have that same aura, and I don't necessarily think that. No offense to Kentucky, because that's some good, exciting racing on the Cup Series.
Yeah,
but I don't think Kentucky matches up to North Wilkesboro or Rockingham or any of these other tracks that have been pushed to the side for some of these multi-bazillion dollar edifices that we see on the circuit every single year. Bring one of those old tracks back, and I guarantee you'll see people back in the seats.
And I honestly going to be interested to see what's going to happen, and yeah, like once after 2020, Steve Phelps should take a really good look at the schedule and just say like, all right, what races should we take out and which ones have we not gone to in a really long time? We should put back on the schedule, and I think that's going to be the most deciding factor. And then also the question is, are we going to have 36? Are we going to have less than 36? Are we going to have more? But I would say like have 36 races on the Cup side, but change the schedule every year. I mean, but the only thing I'm kind of thinking of is, keep the Daytona 500 for the season opener, and then for the playoffs, I would just shift that around, and then, keep Homestead as the championship race. That's pretty much it.
Right. As much, I love Michigan, the track, not the team. I love the racing that goes on at Brooklyn, Michigan. I love the racing that goes on at Las Vegas, but I don't think Vegas should have two dates. I think Vegas should stick to one date. I think New Hampshire should have two dates. I think Richmond should have two dates. Bristol should have two dates. Darlington should have two dates. But let's look at some of those other tracks that get the one off. I love the road courses. Now we have three. Producer Eddie Focus now in 2019 will sit duct taped to my couch and watch three races where they turn left and right, uphill, downhill, side to side. The whole carousel gimmick schnibbits. Doesn't matter. I love all of it. But there are certain tracks where you look and you go, they need to cut a race from here. And I'm going to say it loud. I'm going to say it proud. I say it every year. Take the second Pocono date away. Pocono is the most boring race on the circuit on any of the three series. Take it. Just get rid of it. Now take that Pocono date and give it to Nashville. Redo the Rock. Redo Wilkesboro. Give us something that throws back to what we love about racing. I guarantee you people will come back because it'll harken back to those days and remember. It'll help them remember why I love this sport to begin with.
But now here's my other question for you. What about Iowa?
I've long said, since Iowa was built, that Iowa should have a Cup date. Yes, they do the trucks. Yes, they do the Xfinity Series. Iowa should have a date. Consider who built the track, for God's sake. Rusty Wallace.
Yeah.
Designed it, built it, mostly out of pocket, but a lot of it came from investors. He built that track to harken back to the days that he came up through. Guys like Rusty Wallace, Harry Gant, Dale Earnhardt, Darrell Waltrip all came up through that mid-level size. It's not a super speedway, but it's not a short track. It's that kind of in the middle. And that's what he wanted. I want to bring back the old school feel. Iowa should have had a date years ago, long before Vegas got a second date, long before Kentucky ever got thought about to have a Cup date. Kansas, there's a lot of good and bad I can say about Kansas, but come on. Iowa is 10 times the racetrack that Kansas is.
All right, how about another one? How about the Milwaukee Mile?
It's a funny thing. If you ever played a NASCAR video game, you have the option to run a match race, if you will. Not so much on your season schedule, but you can run the Milwaukee Mile with Cup guys. I'd love to see the Cup guys in Milwaukee. It would be great. The more you can, if I had my way, you'd have maybe 38 races a year. Let's not take the Sundays off. These guys are professional race car drivers. Take 12 weeks off, run 40 times a year. Bring Milwaukee in, bring Iowa in. Bring back one of those classic tracks like Wilkesboro, Rockingham, Nashville, what have you. Give them all sorts of different palettes to paint with. Let's see who the real best of the best is. Milwaukee would be great. Get into as many states as you can. Make it like the WWE. Make it like the Ice Capades. They go on this loop and they try to hit all of the lower 48 that they can. Washington, California, etc., so forth. Take a date away from California. You want to talk about boring racing? Auto Club Speedway. Done.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that one. I mean, Auto Club, it's there's been some races where it's been exciting over the years, and then there's some races where it's just pretty much such a snoozer, if you know what I mean.
I understand. But
But
yeah, that would be my answer, and I'm standing behind it. And you're listening to us, not MRN, the voice of NASCAR. Had to get it in.
yeah,
By
definitely
the
had to get
way,
it for sure.
kids, MRN t-shirts are back on NASCARSuperstore.com. Get yours today.
Which, by the way, me and Chelsea got our shirts.
I hate you both. I really want to crawl through this video and punch you in the face. I don't have mine. My birthday just rolled by. And no MRN shirt for that's all right. I'm busting your chops.
All right.
But do you have anything else on the docket before I go into what I found on NASCAR.com the other day?
Let's see. So, in other words, RCR is celebrating its 50th anniversary next year, and what's actually kind of cool about it is Richard Childress Racing is bringing back the 8 car, which of course Daniel Hemrick is going to be driving next year. And quite honestly, I'm really excited about this, and I'm really, really excited to see what RCR is going to do next year, and especially with Daniel Hemrick. The fact that the 8 car is coming back next year, it's going to be really cool seeing it back out on the track next year.
Have they announced a sponsorship for that car?
So I believe it's going to be all the sponsors that Ryan Newman had. So pretty much Bass Pro Shops, Caterpillar, and then I think Smoky Mountain Herbal Stuff. I think is going to be on the car too. I'm not really sure. So as far as I know, those are going to be all the sponsors. That's going to be with Hemrick.
Well, let me see if I got this right. The 31 becomes the 8, which I'm happy
Yeah.
with. He's going to have most of the sponsorships that Newman had, but Smoky Mountain's going to be on board. Newman is going to the 6, which used to be Trevor Bayne and Matt Kenseth this past season.
Yeah.
Do we have word? Obviously, Kenseth is bowing out. I wish he would stay, but do we have word of Trevor Bayne and his future?
No, I haven't heard anything on Trevor Bayne, and I highly doubt anyone's going to pick him up.
That's a kid where hard luck and just his own, I don't want to say lack of talent, because you don't get to the highest level of motorsports without having talent. There's just a lot of factors that kept Trevor Bayne from being bigger than he is. He comes out of the box strong number of years ago and wins Daytona. I think a lot of that was hard luck for other drivers, and he just happened to be right place, right time. But then again, Austin Dillon did the same thing this past year. But, Trevor Bayne, I just don't think had it. When you think of Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, Rusty Wallace, Harry Gant, the list goes on and on. They have it. Everything is one complete package. I don't think Trevor Bayne, and his health issues didn't exactly help. Trevor Bayne didn't have it. He was just another kid that they saw. He's winning a lot of races underneath. Let's bring him up. Let's see what we can do. He wins the biggest race of the season and little else. He gets into a spectacular crash that same year with Michael Waltrip at Bristol, tears his car from pillar to post, walks away, thankfully, thank God, but did little else with his career other than Daytona 500, wicked crash, field filler. That's it.
But and of course, of course, like, you won the Daytona 500, but what has he done since then? I mean, I have to admit, like, his Cup career, hasn't been the best, especially this year. But yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna want him at this point. If anything, he's probably gonna go to, like, maybe an underfunded race team, or possibly do television, the way I see it.
Have you heard him talk? I mean,
Yeah.
he's not quite Ward Burton, but he's how do I put this lightly? I don't want to pick on anybody with a speech impediment, but that lisp is heavy when it comes to Trevor Bayne. Stop yawning. I'm not that boring. Not only do I not get an MRN t-shirt, he's yawning when I'm speaking. You know what? I'm going to call Eddie right now. We're going to get a new co-host. That's all there is to it.
No.
I'm kidding. However, having said that, a lot of things got in the way of Trevor Bayne being something, but I think the biggest thing that got in Trevor Bayne's way was Trevor Bayne.
Yeah.
All right, so moving right along, I got a little something fun for you. And being that it's the off season, we just finished the 2018 season. NASCAR.com gave out a bunch of superlative awards, which anybody who's ever gotten a high school yearbook knows there's superlative awards that you vote on, you give out, so yada yada, people win it. But I found I took the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. I think I took the 15 best. Yes, that I thought they gave away about 29 of these. I took the 15 best, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the category out loud. I'm going to see what Corey's answer is, and then I'm going to give NASCAR's answer. So
All
if
right.
you haven't, Corey, if you haven't read this already, and I'll be surprised if you didn't, but here we go. We're going to start at the top, and this goes for mostly the Cup Series, but there are a few Xfinity answers on this list. So keep that in mind when I read these off to you.
All
Corey,
right.
the surprise driver of the year.
Surprise driver of the year. I'm gonna have to go with Brett Moffitt.
Brett Moffitt. I would also have gone with Brett Moffitt.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he did not win. According to NASCAR.com, the surprise driver of the year was Eric Almirola. A change of scenery to Stewart
Okay.
Haas Racing was just the ticket for Almirola to turn around his fortunes. 1 year after finishing a lackluster 29th in the Cup Series points, he vaulted into the postseason's round of 8, posting his first win since 2004 in the process. I can't argue with that pick, although I would have picked Brett Moffitt myself.
Yeah.
5 wins, a championship, no sponsorship going forward, no ride going forward. I'm still surprised at this. Hashtag give Brett a ride.
Yeah. Definitely give him a ride, but no, I'll buy that. I'll definitely buy it.
All right. Next category. The farewell of the year.
Ooh, the farewell of the year. Farewell of the year has to go to Elliott Sadler.
I would have agreed with you, but when I saw their answer, I agreed with them. The farewell of the year, sorry, my tongue hasn't come through customs yet. Farewell of the year goes to, according to NASCAR.com, Casey Kane. After announcing that 2018 would be his final full-time season in the Monster Energy Series, ongoing health issues stemming from extreme heat exhaustion sidelined Kane for the final 11 races. Over his 15-year career, Kane has won 18 career races, including 3 Coca-Cola 600s, and his final race win came at the 2017 Brickyard 400. Hard to argue with that, but at the same time, I was more inclined to give it to Elliott Sadler.
Yeah, I would have too.
All right, on any series, the Rookie of the Year.
Any series rookie of the year.
But you'd only pick one.
Okay. Gee, this one is a tough one.
Yes, it is.
Oh man. All right. If I'm gonna have to second guess this one, I'm gonna have to say Tyler Reddick.
Okay, I actually agreed with NASCAR on this one. The Rookie of the Year on any of the 3 series goes to Christopher Bell. In his first full season in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Bell set a rookie series record with 7 wins. That included 3 victories in the playoffs as he reached the championship 4. He also led all series regulars with 18 top 5s and 759 laps led. What he does for an encore next season is going to be something to watch.
It's going to be really exciting to watch, and don't be surprised if Bell does a lot better than what he did this year.
Oh, without question. Best underdog story of 2018.
Oh, definitely Brett Moffitt.
I actually had Brett Moffitt written down, but NASCAR.com lists Ross Chastain as the winner of this. We've all heard it by now. I'm just a watermelon farmer from Florida. That's Ross Chastain's go-to line when the humble 26-year-old is in the limelight. And thanks to a strong showing in the Darlington Xfinity Series race for Chip Ganassi Racing, he found himself there a lot. After Darlington, which you'll remember was when he had that dust-up with Kevin Harvick,
Yeah.
Chastain proved himself to be a winner at Las Vegas. His part-time performance at CGR led to a full-time deal in the 42 on the Xfinity Series next season.
Definitely, I'll buy that.
All right. The breakout young star of the year.
The breakout young star of the year. Yeah, that one would have to go to Christopher Bell.
I actually agreed with NASCAR on this one. The breakout young star of the year, according to Chris and NASCAR, is Chase Elliott. With NASCAR's favorite son retired, obviously Junior, and in the booth, fans waited for another favorite son to come out into the limelight, and it happened when Chase Elliott crossed the finish line at Watkins Glen, winning in his 99th start. Elliott went on to win 2 more races during the season, during the playoffs at Dover and Kansas. NASCAR is in good hands with this bright young star competing at the top level.
Definitely, and I can't wait to see what he does next year, too.
Oh, I easily think he's going to pull in 2, maybe 3 races. He's going to be in that championship discussion, without question.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I don't know how much you follow Twitter, but I'm going to ask you this. The tweet of the year. Any driver sends out a tweet, that's the tweet of the year. What driver sent the tweet of the year?
Okay. I'm going to have to say, out of the top of my head, I'm going to have to say Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch, okay. I actually had Kyle Busch written down. But the tweet of the year came from Jimmy Johnson. Following a daring split-second decision to go for the win at the Charlotte Roval rather than play it safe, backfired for Jimmy Johnson. Johnson was not so politely asked to retire by a Twitter troll. The response from 7-time, in which he said, "I'm far from done, will live on in infamy." Literally. It's now a t-shirt available on NASCAR.com.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it is. I actually looked it up after I read these. I'm like, well, there it is. I could actually buy this t-shirt if I was dumb enough to buy Jimmy Johnson gear. But another story for another time.
Yeah.
Now, after every race, they interview the winner, 2nd place, 3rd place, 5th place, 9th place, all the way down the run, the guys who got wrecked. Corey, the soundbite of the year, the one line that you'll never forget from post-race interviews this year.
Okay.
I actually voted for this one. I'm on board with NASCAR.
Okay, I just thought of this one just a second ago. Definitely has to be Martin Truex Jr. at Martinsville.
Martin Truex's foreboding message to Joey Logano after the number 2 driver moved him for the win at Martinsville launched the drivers' feud that will carry into next season and underscored the pressure of the playoffs. "He ain't winning the damn war," said Truex. While Truex didn't retaliate and Logano won the title, that post-race interview will go down as one of the most talked about moments of the season. We are all in agreement.
I have to agree on that, hands down.
All right. Now, I know you and I always talk about this. We've made jokes about this one. The on-track moment of the year.
The on-track moment of the year. Jeez Louise, why can't I even think of this one?
Because you're not prepared. This is why, never mind, I'm playing.
All right, let me hear what you got.
Okay, the one I picked is the one NASCAR picked. So that may or may not be copacetic here, but I'll read it to you. The Chicagoland finish. This one had it all, kids. Two of the most talented drivers in NASCAR slugging out for the win. Aggressive moves on the final lap. Plenty of contact. Kyle Larson swooping past Kyle Busch and smacking him sideways, followed by Busch returning the favor and drilling the number 42 to scoot by for the win, was everything we could want. Dale Earnhardt Jr. screaming, "Slide job! Slide job!" in his first race in the booth for NBC, and Kyle Busch's viral crying eyes gif afterward made the moment that much more special.
Definitely, and I would have to say, best finish of the year. No doubt about it.
Easily. I'll put that up there with Martinsville and New Hampshire as the top three, but Chicagoland wins the day.
Yeah.
The most heartwarming moment of the year.
The most heartwarming moment of the year would have to be Austin Dillon winning the Daytona 500. 20 years after Dale Earnhardt won his first in '98.
Ooh, I didn't pick that, and I didn't pick the winner either. My heartwarming moment. I can't even read what I wrote down. That's how terrible my handwriting is. But I agree with NASCAR. It wasn't my pick, but the heartwarming moment of the year was Cash Boyer running to his dad after he snapped a 190 race winning streak in March at Martinsville. His first for Stewart Haas Racing. Just watching that little boy run down pit road just to go find his dad. And I'll have to agree. And once I can decipher my own handwriting, I'll give you my answer. But that wasn't it. I'm pretty sure that I had Austin Dillon, but I can't read this. I need to learn to write in English, not in Farsi. Anyway, moving on. The race team of the year.
The race team of the year would definitely have to go to Stewart Haas Racing.
This will be another three-peat, the second one as we've done this. I also voted Stewart Haas, and NASCAR said Stewart Haas Racing. The driver lineup of Kevin Harvick, Clint Bowyer, Kurt Busch, and Eric Almirola combined for 12 points-paying wins in 2018 in the organization's 12th season. The quartet became the second four-car fleet in the playoff elimination era to reach the round of eight. To all reach the round of eight. Now, if you throw in Cole Custer's runner-up finish in the Xfinity Series, the vote has to be unanimous.
It has to be. Definitely.
1,000%. Now comes the nitty and the gritty. Corey.
Yep.
Crew Chief of the Year.
Oh, man. Crew Chief of the Year.
Bro.
All right. Mine would definitely have to be Cole Pearn.
Okay. I voted Rodney Childers. NASCAR says, now, any of you are wrestling fans out there, it's not the one you're thinking of, Todd Gordon. After 2 years of finale heartbreak and missing the playoffs altogether in 2017, the number 22 crew chief, Todd Gordon, in 2018 had a master plan. It was executed flawlessly at Miami, paving the way for Joey Logano to nab his first Monster Energy Series title. Gordon's ability to use the 2017 season as motivation and elevate the team in time for the finale carried him in this category. Agree or disagree?
I'd have to agree.
Same here. Okay, now we got two choices for this one.
Okay.
Now, I wrote mine down. One of them is correct and one of them is incorrect. There are two choices for finish of the year. One is Xfinity, one is Monster.
Okay.
Give me your finish of the year on the Xfinity Series.
All right. Finish of the year for Xfinity would definitely have to go to. I'm gonna have to go to the Daytona race in February when Tyler Reddick edged out Elliott Sadler.
See, I had Tyler Reddick in the penultimate race. I'm sorry, the final race to win the championship. But you were correct. The finish of the year on the Xfinity Series was Tyler Reddick. Considering this was the closest finish in NASCAR Touring Series history, it was a no-brainer why this series opener in Daytona is the finish of the year. The margin of victory was so close, it is listed as 0.0000 seconds, with NASCAR determining that Tyler Reddick beat Elliott Sadler by about 3 inches. Afterward, Sadler quipped that because the difference between the two was so virtually indistinguishable that NASCAR should just award both drivers the win.
I would definitely agree.
You were correct on this one. Now, the finish of the year on the Cup Series.
Definitely would have to be the Chicago finish.
I actually agreed with NASCAR on this one. It was the second Martinsville race in a season where several breathtaking conclusions came to light to choose from. The heavyweight battle between Joey Logano and Martin Truex Jr. at Martinsville Speedway's first out of 500 stood out. Logano and Truex slugged it out side by side much of the final 10 laps, culminating in a classic bump and run and tire-smoking, out-of-control dash through the checkered. The high postseason stakes only heightened the drama for this finish. I agreed with NASCAR. I also agree with you, but if I had to pick one, it's Martinsville. It changed the face of the playoffs 100%.
Yeah, I would definitely agree.
All right, so we got 2 more categories before we shut down for the night. The race of the year on the Cup Series.
Yeah, race of the year. Yeah, the race of the year would have to be Chicago.
Okay, I had the New Hampshire race where Harvick and Kyle Busch battled it out. The bump and run. NASCAR says the race of the year was the Charlotte Roval. It was perhaps the most anticipated race of the year outside of the Daytona 500, and it did not disappoint. From testing runs to turtles to an in-event adjustment to the wall on the backstretch, this race had everyone circling it on their calendar. Then came the finish where 7-time champion Jimmy Johnson had playoff advancement in the bag, but wrecked with Martin Truex Jr. going for the win. Ryan Blaney threaded the needle, whisking past for the inaugural trophy. Truex bumped Johnson on the cool-down lap, and Johnson later found out his move cost him his chance to advance.
Okay, I give that one too.
I would have voted for the Roval if it wasn't the first race. And that's why I strayed away from it. But that finish between Busch and Harvick, to me, and much like you, Chicago with the slide job, both of them, great picks. Fantastic. Now, the granddaddy of them all, the pizza resistance, if you will, or pièce de résistance if you're French, driver of the year.
I'm going to have...
Before you start, I agree with NASCAR.
All right. I'm going to have to say Martin Truex Jr.
Martin Truex Jr. Okay. No, I can certainly see why you would pick Truex. I'm going to read the blurb. Champion is the only thing missing from his 2018 resume, but there's absolutely no question in his body of work. Kevin Harvick won 8 races in 2018, tied with Kyle Busch for the most, including a 3-race stretch in the first 4 races of the year. His 23 top 5 finishes and 29 top 10s both were the best on the series. Throw in 1,960 laps left. More than the third place finisher, and finish a better performance from February to November. Before I even looked at that, I said Kevin Harvick. And it's easy to look at Joey Logano. Yes, he won the championship, and good for him. Congratulations. But nobody put on a show like Kevin Harvick did this year. And I'm not being a homer. That's seriously, I agree with everything they wrote.
I definitely agree too.
So now, Corey, I'm going to ask you to take about 45 seconds to a minute because I have to go tend to something over to my left. And if I don't, my daughter's going to cry. So talk to the people, tell them where they can find us, what they can do going into 2019, and I'll be right back to close the show with you.
All right, no problem. Take your time. All right. So as Chris is doing something right now, be sure to catch us on the C&J Speedway Review on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you go on, hit the bell, and then pretty much, you'll get notifications on when we go live, when we record, when we upload. You get the whole, all the whole gimmicks, schmimics, and whatnot. But also Facebook. It's pretty easy and simple. Just make sure to like our page. We will post up news results, standings, everything else, and more. And let's see, Twitter, we are at CJ_Speedway. Instagram, we are at CJ Speedway. And as you guys are all excited, we're all excited for 2019, and this is going to be probably the best year there is. And a lot of storylines have came with it this year, and next year it's going to be a lot different. From the new Aero package to the playoffs next year as well, to all the new drivers that are coming in. So it's going to be very exciting, especially in all three series. So I really can't wait to see how this is going to turn out. And man, I cannot wait until Daytona in February. I think it's only like what? If I'm doing the math right, I think it's only like 50 something days left until Daytona. And gee, as far as I know, we're already going to the last weekend of the year and everything else and so forth. But yeah, as far as I know, my Christmas is great, and here's Chris.
Hey, sorry about that. Have kids, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Anyway, don't know what Corey said, but I will throw out a couple things here. If you are a fan of sick humor, you're a fan of just people being tired of the status quo, find the Loki and Jabroni Christmas special on our YouTube channel, Loki and Jabroni. You'll have a good time. Thank you for all your support in 2018 as we come closer to New Year next Tuesday, strangely enough. On the college football front, Corey mentioned it at the beginning of the show, and I kind of want to oh, shut up. I kind of want to make mention of this right now. I'm about to tell you. Are you sitting down?
Yes, I am sitting down.
Right now, in my eyes, and I am as objective as the day is long when it comes to any sport. Right now, Alabama is in the catbird seat when it comes to the national championship. Now, having said that, as I crack open a beer and pack my lip just one more time as we close the show out, listen, Alabama fan, and I'm not talking about Corey. I'm talking about general everyday Alabama fan, and this can go for a lot of things. I'll mention this in a second. Don't polish the trophy until you've won it. The reason I say this is because I have a lot of friends, especially one very huge Alabama fan who lives in Huntsville, Alabama, who has been tweeting incessantly for weeks. Just give us a trophy. Just do this. Just do this. Roll Tide, roll Tide, roll Tide. And by the way, to every Alabama fan who doesn't live in Alabama, I asked Conrad, what is the correct terminology? Is it roll effing tide? Is it roll damn tide? I threw that out there for you. Is it, roll this? Or he just said, no, it's just roll tide. So Alabama fan, it's just roll tide. Just deal with it. It's roll tide. He lives in Huntsville. He should know. So, and I told Conrad, don't polish the trophy until it's actually yours. I say this because I look at baseball this past year. I'm a Yankee fan, but a lot of Yankee fans were polishing that trophy before they decided who was going to hold the trophy. And who held the trophy? Red Sox fan. And earlier today, and producer Eddie Focus made a comment about it, New Orleans Saints fan is polishing the trophy of the NFL before they actually play a damn playoff game. We got one more week of football to go.
Yep.
Don't polish the trophy until it's yours. And that may be the one thing that when people hear I'm a Yankee fan or I'm an Ohio State fan, they go, well, that's different. Usually those fans are obnoxious. You're right. Usually they are. But that ain't me, kids. Don't polish the hardware until it's yours. This past year, NASCAR in general, cripes, my driver comes home with 8 wins, driver of the year according to NASCAR. All sorts of great things. The one thing I said going into that final week, and Corey will tell you, and we did it sitting in Mark Azarju's basement for the final race of the year, it's like, you got to get out there and you have to prove it. I wasn't pre-ordering anything. I wasn't looking to update my wardrobe with 2018 championship gear. You do not put your balls on the table before it's time to put your balls on the table, because someone's going to be there with a hammer to make you cry. Now, I'm not picking on you, Corey. I'm picking on Alabama fan in general. I'm picking on NASCAR fan in general, MLB or NFL, or I'm not a big basketball fan, but the Celtics are doing decently well right now. Am I wrong? You're a Celtics fan.
Well, they just won on Christmas against the 76ers, and, so far they've been a decent team this year. But yeah, I mean, I just look at them, and honestly, I think they could wrap up the East No question about it. It's just how they're going to do in the playoffs.
You, like me, you're a Bruins fan, right?
Yeah.
You polishing that trophy yet? You polishing the Stanley Cup yet?
Well, I haven't really watched a lot of Bruins games this year, but
Well, you're fired.
as far as I know, I think they've been doing okay, but yeah, I haven't really watched a lot of their games though. But as far as I know, March 2nd, I'm going to one.
Good, good. Think of me when you're there. Have a beer, but nobody. Don't polish the trophy until it's yours. And I'll say this, and I'll go back to 2011, where I had picked up my daughter. It's the summer because the hockey season goes 11 out of the 12 months of
Yeah.
the year. So I pick up my daughter. We go to a friend's house, and they're watching the Bees, and we're down 4-1. Now I've been waiting for this my whole life. I'm like, oh, here it is. It's the end. I'm just going to watch the end of the game. And within 5 minutes, the Bees score 3 goals to tie it, and then 2 minutes into overtime, score the goal that takes them to the finals.
Mm.
Toronto, I'll send you a video. I'm sure you've seen it before, but people are in the streets of Toronto cheering and yelping and woo! It's all us! It's all us! It's all us! They're polishing the trophy before it's theirs.
Yeah.
And what happened? Spoiler. So do not. And I know our parents always said, don't count your chickens before they're hatched or whatever. Throw that out the window. Go with Jabroni and say, don't polish the trophy until it's yours. Because I can throw another example out there, and producer Eddie Focus, who I can see in the little box, is producing this show. He's the first one to tell you, I don't polish a trophy. It is the beginning of the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Mm.
Everybody is texting me, congratulating me, Falcon fan.
Oh,
and I'm
boy.
like, don't say a word. You're going to jinx this. I just want to watch the game. It's not over. Eddie is ready to pop the champagne. We had a bet. I'm like, don't. No. Stop. No, this game is not over. You remember how that game ended?
I remember how it ended.
So do I. Don't polish the trophy until it's yours. And that's where I have to leave on that. Guys, we'll be back in 2 weeks, possibly sooner if this guest comes through. Hopefully, if he comes through in 2 weeks, we're going to have some fun.
Yes.
Oh, my Lord, I'm so excited. And I'm going to contact, by the way, big ups to Mike Cronin from Middletown, Connecticut for setting this all up, or trying to set it all up. But Big Mike, Man Mountain, you're the man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we will see you in 2 weeks. And how many Sundays until Daytona?
Oh boy, this is gonna be.
Oh, you should be on this.
All right. So let's see. I'm looking on my iPhone. Let's see. We got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So if I'm doing my math right, 8 Sundays until Daytona.
So that means easily 4 shows before Daytona.
Yes.
All right. You gave them the info. You gave them the Facebook, the YouTube, the Twitter. Subscribe to the show, guys. Have some fun with it. Tell your friends. I still have all of these fantastic Jeff Gordon giveaways. About 500 million Jeff Gordon 1/64th scale cars that I want to give away. All you have to do is join our Facebook page and tell us why you are the biggest Jeff Gordon fan in history, and all of these fantastic 1/64th scale diecast cars are yours. I will ship them. I will pay for all that. By the way, speaking of giving stuff away, did Sherry get her flag?
She did not get her flag yet, which
All
that's
right,
pretty much that's pretty much a work in progress.
fair enough. Second, did oh, let me try that again. Did Chelsea put her bumper sticker on her car?
I want to say she did.
Well, you better take a picture of it because it was an official Loki and Jabroni Show bumper sticker. And hopefully someday soon we'll have C&J Speed Review gimmicks, hats, shirts, mugs, underwear, baby onesies, what have you. Corey, thank you for a fantastic 2018, and I'm looking forward to 2019 without just going off the rails here. Early pick for Daytona 500 winner.
All right, so if I'm going to pick this one right now, I'm going to say Eric Almirola.
I was going to say the same thing. Crazy. But he knows how to wheel his way around Talladega and Daytona with ease, and that was the guy I had written down as my pick. So fantastic. We're on the same page.
And remember this past February, he was leading on the last lap until he got taken out by Austin Dillon. So that's how it
exactly.
And that's what happens. You got to bring back the trophy of the steering wheel, and when it comes down to the last lap in super speedway racing, you got to do all you got to do to block. And sure enough, Almirola thought he had the win, but he just came up a little bit short.
And it goes back to what I said. Don't polish the trophy until it's yours. Corey, good luck this weekend with Alabama. I'll be watching the first half of the Ohio State Rose Bowl game until it's time to record the Loki and Jabroni show next Tuesday. Great bowl season. Actually, roll Tide. That's all I'm going to say.
I can't wait. It's gonna be a fun game. I can tell you that. I know Oklahoma is gonna be a little bit tough since we have to play the guy that won the Heisman this year, and it's funny because it's gonna be the first ever game where you're gonna have two guys that were in the Heisman running play against each other. So it's gonna be exciting. As far as I know, I really want to see Alabama and Notre Dame make it to the national championship. I have a couple friends of mine who are really big Notre Dame fans, and it'd be really cool if that happens. But honestly, in my prediction, and I said this the last few weeks, I said, okay, I know Alabama's going to go to the national championship, no question. But it's pretty much, who we're going to play in the national championship. As far as I know, I want to see Notre Dame, but watch on SportsCenter, I think, like tomorrow through Saturday, whatever. Everyone's all going to predict Alabama, Clemson in the national championship. Even I'm predicted it as well, but yet again, we'll just have to see what happens.
That's why they play the game, kid. That's why they play the game. Guys, thank you so much for all your support. And with the most famous two words in C&J Speedway Review history, I bid you good night. And it's time now for Corey to say those famous two words.
Good night.